Just as a reminder, if this isn't obvious enough, this talk got switched with the main auditorium talk. So if you're here for CSS, you're not going to get a lot of it. So you might want to head upstairs. So anyway, my name's Richard. I work at Lucid Software. I've been there just over a year and a half. I've loved it there. It's been awesome. And actually, one of the first projects I worked on was getting our Clipboard implementation to actually work with other applications using the system Clipboard. And so we did a lot of work figuring out what's possible, what's not, dealing with the consequences of that. And I just kind of wanted to share what we learned. I know there's actually very little documentation and information out there. And so I just kind of want to share that information with you guys. Before we start, I want to let you guys know, feel free to stop me, ask questions. This is for you. And so if I'm talking about a bunch of garbage you don't care about, stop me and I'll try to answer your questions. So with that, the first question I want to talk about real quick is why try to use the system Clipboard, or why try to do anything special with it? Does anybody remember Gmail back in 2011 released a new feature? And the first time I used it, I felt like this guy. It was called, you could take a screenshot, like print screen or something, and then you just press Control-V in your Gmail editor, and the image uploaded automatically. You didn't have to go through like the annoying attach file, find the file. Like, does anybody remember that? I see somebody nodding their head. Okay, that was awesome. That was awesome for me. It made it feel like, okay, this isn't a web application. This is just an application. It does what I want. GitHub has a cool little button. If anybody's used this, it's just copy the clipboard. It takes the repo URL. Yeah, okay, you're nodding your head. It's not anything super special, but it's nice, right? It's convenient. Google Sheets. You have a certain number of cells, you copy them, you paste them into Word, it gives you a table. You paste them in your email, it gives something meaningful, right? Like, it just works. And the reason why this is so nice is because users exist outside of your application, right? They have workflows, they need to do things between different applications. And what that means is when they're done with your application, they need to take it and put it somewhere else. Or when they're starting to work with the application, they need to get content and put it in. And the easiest way to do this is the clipboard. Just to drive home the point, these are a couple tickets we have in our own product. I'll just read these real quick. I'm afraid Lucidchart, wasn't much use to me once I found out I couldn't copy and paste from it into Word or any other document. I'm hoping it can be developed further because apart from this problem, it's actually a brilliant package on its own. Based on this, I will not be buying it. So that's money out the door. Very often, I want to import an image into Lucidchart that's in the clipboard, usually a screenshot that I need to edit. I have to go through the following process. Open an image editor, save the picture under a name, open the import image dialog in Lucidchart, locate the file, and import the image. So it's a huge pain. We've all been there, we've all done that. And the truth is, if we can make it easy for our users, they're going to love us. So first off, I just want to cover real quick what's possible and what's not. So take 1 minute, read through these, kind of think to yourself, okay, can I do that? Is that something I want to do? And I know as the tension builds, I'll reveal what is possible and what's not. So we've got intercepting events to either put custom content on or to take the content off. Triggering events on user clicks. So it's like the GitHub, you push the button and it copies to the clipboard. And then, something kind of special, getting image data from the clipboard and putting image data on the clipboard. So the big reveal. Most of these are pretty possible with the exceptions of triggering paste from a user click. There's security problems with this, right? Like somebody could have copied their password or something to the clipboard, right? And they come to your site as they're on their way to their destination and they like just click and some random button. You're like, oh yeah, I'll take all your data, cool. So anyway, that one's not allowed. Actually, there are a couple exceptions. And the other one, putting image data on the clipboard. Right now, nobody actually supports that. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to do that. And it turns out it's not possible right now. But we'll talk about these all in detail. But that's just kind of a broad, high-level overview to get an idea of what's possible and what's not. Here's a quick comic for you. This is roughly what my demo is going to be. So get your hopes up. So, yeah, you're going to be wanting to get some of this. All right, so first off, how do I put custom content on the clipboard? Here I've got, just to kind of show you, I've got just some code up here. A lot of this isn't even being used. Sorry, I was piecing together different fiddles. And then down here is just actually, this is to simulate an interactive web application. So at Lucidchart we have, a canvas rendered application. And so that's just kind of a placeholder there. So anyway, we've got a copy button. Right now it doesn't do anything. And we've got some content. So anyway, adding intercepting copy events is not that difficult. Just add an event listener for the copy event. And take that event. And then this event special, it has a clipboard data object, and you can set data. So what we're going to do is we're going to set some plain text called custom text or test, either one. And then we'll also set some HTML. Oops. Sorry, it was my first live demo, so forgive me. And this one we'll call custom HTML. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we need to prevent default on the event. Otherwise, it's going to propagate through, and then the clipboard default action, or the browser's default action is going to take place, and it's going to put whatever was selected on the clipboard. So we prevent default, and I'm pretty sure that's it. So let's give it a shot. We are hoping to see custom text and custom HTML on the clipboard. So, moment of truth. If I paste something up here, this is just going to accept plain text. And you can see it pasted custom text. So that means I successfully got it on the clipboard. And here's my presentation itself. Google Docs accepts HTML. So if I paste this here, we should expect to see custom HTML, which we do. So it's pretty much that simple, right? I was able to put custom content on the clipboard. Yeah?
Does this work in all browsers?
Pretty much. I'll get to that actually in 1 second. The other cool thing is we have this copy button, right? So let me show you this. Let's put a click handler on that. And we'll do a document exec command copy. And what this is going to do is going to trigger the copy event, and we happen to already have a event listener for the copy event, and so we're going to put our custom content on the clipboard. So I'm copying this right now, so that's what's on the clipboard is just this copy, okay? But now I'm going to push the copy button, and if everything worked, we'll now have custom content. Ooh, it didn't work. Oh man, there's a problem with live demos, right?
Prevent default on the clicks.
Sorry. Oh, I think my selector's not right. That's a problem. Sorry. Okay. So now we copy, and we got custom text. Once again, custom HTML. So there you go. And that's actually a brand new feature in Chrome and in Firefox. Just the last 2 versions of Chrome, and the version of Firefox released this week have that ability to call exec command on click event.
So it looks like the projector might be off a little in the first few columns.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we just like rotate that? There you go. Sorry about that. Thanks for letting me know. All right. Anything else people want to see? Okay, I'll move on and we'll get to the all browser question that we had over there. Okay, so here's just the code. I put it in the slides. So here's the caveats. One, you have to have content selected in the actual DOM, or these won't fire in Firefox, Safari, maybe Internet Explorer. This is actually in the new Clipboard API, which is a working spec right now. to not have this requirement. So that's a temporary requirement. But in my fiddle there that I was showing you, there was some code to make sure that something's selected. If you're in Internet Explorer or Edge, things get a little different. And obviously the picture here tells it all. So Internet Explorer and Edge only support two data types. They're text, right? So instead of even text plain, it's just called text, and URL. And so if you want to set HTML, you got to do something special. And what we're going to do is we're going to let the browser do its default copy, and we're just going to finagle things a little bit beforehand to make sure it gets the content we want. So what we do is, on the Clipboard event, we create a hidden content editable div. And what we do is we set the HTML there, and then we don't prevent default on the action. And now, when the browser actually executes the copy command, it happens to have a bunch of selected HTML, which is exactly what we wanted. And I'll show a demo of that here after I get through paste. The other thing to be aware of is there's mixed support between browsers on the actual content types. Like I said, IE is pretty limited. Mozilla just fulfills the mandatory data types, whereas Chrome, which you'll see in a minute, and Safari support custom data types as well. So you can put like application / lucid chart something, right? Like I can specify whatever kind of data I want and use it later. So I think that's it in terms of copy. Does anybody else have any questions on what's possible there or want to see anything specific? Yeah.
So in 2011, I saw a project called Swell.js that was able to copy tables from Word into the browser and then go back and forth. How does the copy implementation work if it's coming from a non-web?
Oh, right. So Microsoft Word, I'll show you here in a second. So when you copy something, the best practice is to put that thing on the clipboard in every single conceivable data type you can think of. Okay. So Microsoft Word has its own internal format, Microsoft whatever. It also is going to put plain text. It's also going to do HTML. It's also maybe going to do like an image screenshot of what you have, so that no matter where you paste this, the receiving application can make use of it. So actually, in a minute, I'll show you. We'll see exactly what Microsoft Word is putting on the clipboard. So good question though. Anything else? All right. So let's move on. So the counterpart, how do I get stuff off the clipboard? So how do we do paste? And we'll try another live demo here and see how my typing skills are. So you can probably guess, but this time we're just going to listen to a paste event. And this is another special event. It has that clipboard data object on it still. And so what we'll do is we'll say event.clipboard data.getData text plain. If you're an IE, this would just be text with an uppercase T. And we'll get HTML. And HTML. That's good too. Thank you. And then I have just some divs down, some paragraphs down here that will show us. Text, HTML, or plain text, right? Okay. And then once again, just for best practice, we'll prevent the default just to make sure we're not pasting anything where we don't want it. And let's see what happens. So I'll copy this, so it's just plain text, and we're hoping to see the plain text. If I copy from this text area, it's not going to generate HTML. Let's go and see if Word does. Okay, and we'll paste that, and you'll see I did get the plain text, and I also got a bunch of HTML, right? So it's going to put, Word is pretty verbose in this case, right? It's going to do everything to, like, if the application you're pasting it in has the right font, has the right formatting stuff, it's going to put everything it can think of in that HTML to make sure it appears like you'd expect. So that's basic paste. I want to show a couple other interesting things. So we can do this is Chrome only, but sorry. There is a types array on the clipboard data, and what we'll just do is we're going to go through each of those. Oh, sorry. It's a type, not an event. And we're going to get that, and we'll just log it. Type plus event clipboard data, get data, type. And now, let's hide that and hope I got it right, and open the console. And now we can see really everything if Word put anything else on here. And it looks like it just has the plain text and the HTML. So that's the only kind. Oh, look, it also has a rich text format, which is for some reason empty. So that's interesting. This is another interesting one to look at. So let's see what Chrome or what Google Docs puts on the clipboard. So this one's interesting. It's application XVND Google Docs drawings. So this is what it's going to kind of a custom data type it's expecting in the drawing app. And then here we have something specific for the actual Google Docs and some specific content that it's going to appreciate. And then with that, plain text and HTML. So anyway, that's pretty cool to see what's put on the clipboard. What also would be cool is to show you how to do this with an image, right? Because that's pretty cool. So with images, once again, right now, this is only really supported in Chrome. You can actually get images, a lot of times, it'll be put on the clipboard as HTML, right, like an image tag. And so you can still get images from other browsers, but the actual binary image data is only visible in Chrome, although it's in the spec, so other browsers should support it in the future. Do you have a question real quick?
How long has the paste event been around for?
Forever. I don't know. It's a good question. Since a year and a half ago at least. So I've only been an expert for that long, so I can't answer better than that. Do you have?
So all these different browsers have various things.
Yeah.
Is there a good way of doing feature detection on this clipboard?
Do what?
Feature detection?
Rather
than browser detection.
Yeah. So well, kind of. So no. So here, right, like in our code, it probably looks like something like this. Right, like you just don't do it if the types isn't there. But yeah, roughly it comes down to knowing what each browser is. And for IE and Edge, because they have that weird HTML-ness, you've got to just say, hey, if I'm in IE or if I'm in this, I have to do it this way. Yeah, so that's about it. There's not a lot you can do to detect features. I know with the exec command, I think some browsers support using a pre-exec command to see if it's a valid exec command that you can do, but you just call it and you see if it returns true or false. Really, that's the best thing to do. So anyway, there's a few things you can do, but not really, is kind of what it comes down to. So with that, I want to show an image real quick. This is done a little bit differently. So this clipboard data, it's got these get data and set data, and that works for just string values. It also has an items or array-like object, which is the content of all items, even if they aren't just text. So actually, let me copy a image and show you what that looks like. Mountain. Okay. Actually, no, let me do a snip. Right? This will prove that I'm not doing any voodoo magic. Okay, so I have this. I copy it, so now it's on my clipboard. So if I paste this, let's see what types it has. It has a files type. And you'll see that when we called get data on the files object, it didn't give us anything. And that's because it's not a text type object, it's a files type object. And so, as I was saying, we have to do that a little bit differently, and we get it off this items array-like object. So what I'm going to do is, we'll do an each on it. It's an array-like, so I can't do for each. And then index item. And these items have a type field. So if item.type, and that's the MIME type, so image PNG. So if it is of type image PNG, then what we're going to do is we're going to, right now we'll just log it, item get as file, and this will return a blob. So, assuming that works, let's get the console back. Not what I wanted. And there's a blob. And so you can use that blob, get the base 64 encoding, and set it on an image tag. And that's how you get raw binary image data off the clipboard in the web. There is support in IE 11, but it's completely untraditional, and I haven't actually figured out how to do it. But Microsoft does have a good write-up on how to do it, and I have that link in the slides here, which I hope, if you're interested, I can get a copy to you of. So that's how you get image data off the clipboard. Are there any questions of anything else you'd like to see getting data off the clipboard?
Pasting is not allowed, that's what you told us.
Well, okay, yeah, let's see that, thank you. So triggering a paste is pretty much not allowed. So here we have a paste button. So let's try to do the same thing we did before. Okay, so we've got a paste, and this time we're going to do document exec command, paste. And just to show you, because I know it's going to happen, this is going to actually return false because it's going to be unsuccessful. So if I try to trigger a paste, no.
Just seeing again, you know there.
Oh, thank you. Okay. It just does false. It doesn't trigger it. Interestingly, if you do it in Internet Explorer, this is the one time Internet Explorer wins. It lets me do this. And actually what it does, it's not insecure, actually. This is actually a pretty cool feature. What it does is it prompts the user to say, will you allow this web application to access your clipboard? Which I think is a really good solution to the security problem, because it's at the time you want to do it, and you can say allow, and it's actually going to paste. And you'll see it got the content that was on the clipboard. So IE does have a good solution in this case, which is amazing. Too bad they ditched it for Edge, so. Let's see, where was I? Okay, so now time for the paste caveats, however you pronounce that word. So you can't trigger paste events except in IE, and there's actually a couple workarounds in other browsers. Once again, we've got this whole idea that the focus has to be in the right area, so it's got to be a pasteable area. If you just have like text selected, like a paragraph, it might not fire the paste event depending on the browser. Once again, the spec specifies that it should fire every single time, so hopefully browsers adopt that. And then once again, we have the problem of HTML. So we do something similar here, which is we actually listen to the, oh no, wait, okay, never mind, okay. I thought my little mic had fallen off. Sorry, you listen to a before paste event, and during the before paste event, what we do is we create and focus a hidden content editable div, and we let the paste do its default behavior there. And so if the browser has HTML, it will paste the HTML into the content editable div, and then immediately after paste, we can read that. So those are the caveats there. And with that, I'll show you the fully working demo. And this is, I tried it on every browser I could think of. This has copy and paste in every browser. So if this is something you want to do, this is a great place to start. We thought about doing an open source library for this. We haven't gotten around to it yet, but so this is kind of the best we've got right now. Excuse me. So what we do for IE is, if I can find it. Okay, so we have this function called focus ms clipboard div, and what that's going to do is it's going to focus our hidden div and select any content that might be in it. Here, as I said, we're going to listen to the before paste event, and during that before paste event, all we're going to do is we're just going to focus the div. So IE also has a stipulation of it will only paste HTML if the div which is selected accepts HTML before the paste event actually starts. So that's why we have to do it before paste. So anyway, a lot of trial and error on this one in order to get it right. And then here's our actual handling of events. So if it's cut or copy, right, what we do is you can set the plain text data, once again the text with a capital T, and then you can set the HTML on the hidden div, and then you'll notice we don't prevent default. So what's going to happen is the default browser copy event is going to take place, and it's going to suck up that HTML. Afterwards, we just do some cleanup. And then on paste, it's similar but opposite, right? You can get the text, the plain text data during the event if you want. You just empty out the div and focus it. It's already focused because we focused it in before paste. And then immediately after the paste event is done, we can read the HTML which was pasted by the browser. So I know that's probably a little hard to follow, but it can be done and it works. So I can copy and then you'll see if I paste, it actually, sorry, I'm only going to see 1,000 things going on here. It actually pasted stuff. It actually pasted the HTML, and we didn't retrieve it directly off the clipboard. So, okay. Any questions with IE, at least at the conceptual level, if not the implementation detail level? All right. So with that, here's a compatibility chart as best as I can come up with the major browsers. So actually, Safari is a little behind on this triggering copy and cut from the button. That's the only major browser which doesn't support that at the moment. And so the hack, which has been a long-standing thing, is you use a Flash image something, and that's what like the GitHub copy to clipboard. It's called Zero Clipboard. It is a open source project, I think, that does this. We don't use Flash, so we made sure not to do that. So right now, yeah, if you're in Safari and you want to have a button to trigger a copy event, it's just not possible at the moment, unless you're willing to use Flash. And then obviously IE, you saw the first time you tried to do it on a triggered user click event, it will give you the prompt. Triggering paste, like I said, there are a few exceptions. Internet Explorer allows it. Chrome can allow it if you have an extension with the clipboard permission. So this is what we do at Lucidchart, is we encourage our users to use Chrome, install the extension, and then we can do copy and paste off of the context menu click. But for anybody else, we really can't. So, or IE users actually. So IE users and those with the extension installed can use it. And Firefox does have a way to do it, but involves editing like the user preferences, user.js file, which I haven't done, and I don't think the browser itself, I think you have to go and manually edit. I don't think it's like a setting from the Firefox settings. So get and set HTML, that's fully supported with the weird trick in IE. And then, as mentioned, not all browsers support all of the mandatory data types yet. So that's kind of where things stand in terms of browser compatibility. So what's the future of the Clipboard API? It's in the W3 spec. This is still a working copy, an editor draft or something. But it's actually pretty well defined here, and I'm really excited that this is actually finally getting taken care of. So the big takeaways from that are there'll be consistency across browsers in terms of supported data types. there will be events fired regardless of selection, so you don't have to worry about having content selected. The events will just fire no matter what. And image data is a mandatory data type, which means Chrome won't be the only one to support pasting raw images. A couple things I'm hopeful of that will happen in the future is the ability to copy images. So to put image binary data on the clipboard. That's something we'd love to do at Lucid. And every browser to support a way to grant permissions like IE does for user click paste events. So that's something we would love to see, but it's not in the spec right now. Or actually, it is in the spec, but browsers have to choose to do it if they want. So that's all I've got. I've got some resources here, like I said. If you want a copy of these slides, I don't know if there'll be a way. I know all these have recordings, but I don't know if there's a way I'll be able to post slides there. If not, just shoot me an email, and I'm glad to help you out with whatever you're wanting to do. And especially, I can forward these slides on to you. Any final questions? Yeah.
You know if the mobile support would work just fine on the mobile browser?
Good question. According to can I use? We haven't tried this, and so I'm certainly not the one to talk to, unfortunately. If we do Clipboard. So here it says like Chrome for Android does support all the Clipboard stuff. iOS Safari has pretty much the same support as Safari does. So from what I've seen, it's roughly equivalent. But there's not great gestures, right, in browsers right now for that, in mobile browsers. So, because you don't have the keyboard most of the time. But so that's why we haven't looked into it a lot. But according to this, which I know this actually has some outdated information, it is possible. Other questions? All right, thank you very much.